Hey, what's going on, people? So I got a question from one of my subscribers, and he asked me about the importance of the number of sexual partners that someone has. He wanted to know how many is too many when it comes to sexual partners. And I thought about it last night, and the truth is, especially as you get older, the magic number doesn't really. I mean, it matters, but I don't think it's as important as some people make it out to be. Here's the thing, to me anyway, it's not the number of partners that you've had that matters, is how you got to that number. A good example would be a girl I knew about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And basically she was telling me that she's only been with 7 guys her entire life, and she's about 26. So I was like, well, I mean, that's in this day and age, that's not too bad. But she messed around with 7 guys in a year. So basically, she was a virgin, she lost her virginity, and then she started messing around with guys really quickly in quick succession within the period of a year. Actually, about 10 months, less than a year. Now, that's a little questionable. And the girl actually had a reputation, you know, and she kind of slept around. And I think that's where some people are really focused on. They want to know the kind of person you are. And I think the idea that someone has had tons of sexual partners kind of gives a bad picture. It means that you easily sleep around, you easily give it up if you're a girl, or you easily fall for it if you're a guy. I don't think that's always true. I don't think that's always the case because, like I said, it really depends on different factors. For instance, age is a factor. A woman that's 45 and became sexually active in her early 20s could easily reach up to 15, 20 guys, maybe more. Um, Location is a factor, habits are a factor, and relationship history is a factor. The only thing I would say is that if a person makes a habit of sleeping around and the person decides to settle down, it is not wrong for the other person, for the partner, for the potential partner to be a little uneasy about the number of partners that that person has had. I mean, if you're a person and you're thinking about settling down with another person, and the person has messed around with well over 50 women or 50 men, and she kind of has a history as someone who sleeps around. I mean, I don't think you should necessarily judge her simply based on that because everyone has a past. However, I don't think it's wrong to take that into consideration when you decide whether or not you want to settle down with that one person. Because, I mean, there's a proverb that says that a person is defined by his habits. Whatever you do regularly ultimately becomes who you are. So one has to be careful about that. However, when talking about the number of partners a person has, there are other things you have to consider: age, you have to consider location, you have to consider the circumstances under which all these encounters happen. Now, there are some girls that have really high numbers. I knew a friend of mine and her girlfriend, well, not like romantic or anything, but a friend of hers has actually slept with over 250 guys, and she's only 26. I mean, to me, that's an incredibly high number for such a young age. I mean, even if you're older, I would still consider that to be an excessively high number. That's porn star status. So in my opinion, that's when a person has reached well beyond the limit. But like I said, everyone has a limit as far as how many partners they will be comfortable with, how many partners they will be comfortable with when it comes to their potential mate. In my situation, I try to be a little more open-minded. However, I'm pretty picky, so I probably wouldn't settle down with someone that's had up to 20 different guys. But that's just me. That's just my choice. I think, and I mean, before anyone decides to start talking about double standards and stuff, remember that the game is different for guys and women. Women like to throw around the idea of this sexual double standard, but the game is different for everyone. and the dynamics of the dating game affect us differently. In order for a guy to get laid with 20 women, he has to be on top of his game. Unless he sleeps around with really ugly women that are desperate, the guy has to actually have some degree of game. He has to be able to take care of himself. He has to be somewhat attractive. He has to, especially as you get older, you need to have your own shit together before you can even pull that kind of those kind of numbers. Whereas a woman can be busted and all she has to do is wear a miniskirt and wait in a bar. So it's very easy for women to get to very high numbers, but it takes game and talent and skills for a guy to get to very high numbers. So you gotta factor that in as well. Having said that, in my opinion, it depends. Like if you're looking at a girl that's say 20, I don't think she should have more partners than her own age. A girl that's 20 that's already messed around with 20 different guys, in my opinion, is too much. Now, everyone has different prerogatives, everyone is different, but that's what I think should be the cutoff mark. I think you have to look at the number of years the person has lived and compare the number of partners they slept with. That will give you an idea of whether or not they were in relationships with these people, or maybe they just dated, or it was a once in a a spur of the moment decision. But if a person has slept with many different partners over a period of a few years, it means that she's had a lot of spur of the moment decisions, or he's had a lot of spur of the moment decisions on one night stands, and that's a little questionable. Because if that's the case, it means that you don't know if they'll be able to just settle down with that one person and be committed to that person. I mean, they may be able to. Like I said, it wouldn't be fair to judge them based on their past history. But as human beings, we are not naturally idealistic people. We are still going to focus on self-preservation, whether it's physical or emotional. And we're going to factor in all those things. So I don't think you should attach too much importance to the magic number or to the number of partners a person has been with. But I think that it is important to take it into consideration. Now, if you're a young man or a young woman and you're interested in another person that's around your age, just make sure you look at the age of the person, the number of partners, and the amount of time it took for that person to get to those partners. If a girl started messing around at like 15 and she's 25, that's about 10 years, right? If she slept with like 35 different guys within that time span, then there's something to be worried about. And the same goes for guys. But like I said, it's a lot easier for a woman to rack up high numbers than a guy. Unless the woman is really ugly, like Precious or something, then she can be held, she could be considered just like a guy because she has to work hard for it. So yeah, that's my opinion. I don't think there's a specific number because everyone has different criteria, everyone has different standards. But I think that what's most important is the amount of time it took for that number to get to where it was. So if you have questions about whether or not a person has been around a lot, make sure you factor in the time, and make sure you factor in that the circumstances surrounding those encounters. If they were all one night stands or whatever, that's one thing. If the numbers came as a result of a freaking orgy or a gangbang, again, that's something else. So you have to factor all that in. A girl that's been around, that maybe dated 4 guys, had casual sex with 2 other guys, and maybe met someone and had sex with the person and thought they were gonna get serious, but nothing happened, and that's what, like 8 guys altogether. In my opinion, that's not bad because it wasn't really a character thing; it was just life. But a girl that makes it a point to just sleep around with whoever she's attracted to, just to feel attractive or just to stroke her own ego, and racks up very high numbers, in my opinion, that's questionable. And it doesn't necessarily mean that a person that's only slept with 4 guys is a saint either. Because if she slept with those 4 guys in different threesomes, it's still kind of messed up. But like I said, it's up to you, and it depends on the circumstances surrounding each and every one of these encounters. So that's my opinion when it comes to the magic number. But feel free to comment on the video, leave your opinions. What's the magic number for you? When do you think it's too many partners for a person. Later, guys.